Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. So I don't know how many of you all follow Dazed Magazine or Dazed Beauty on Instagram, but one of their recent articles came up on my feed a few days ago, and it's called How the Y2K Runway Rebirth Killed Fashion's Sex Drive. We're not going to talk about specifically fashion in this video, but I brought up this article because it's very pertinent to the topic we're talking about today. The headline did not surprise me at all, and it pretty much, the article, reaffirmed something that I had been feeling and thinking for some time now. The article talks about how the media has portrayed New York Fashion Week, amongst other fashion events for this season, as having brought sex back, and that they are sexier than ever, these collections. And just like the article also states, just because there's more skin on the runway and things are more revealing does not necessarily mean that there is a sexual pulse there. This article discusses fashion and Y2K aesthetic specifically, but I do not want to say that our culture's loss of sexual spark is consequentially reliant on fashion choices. There's a lot of other things going on. Sex in our culture is dead. We are no longer modest, we are no longer secretive, we are open about everything and anything. Modern society's attempt to contrive sexual freedom and enjoyment of the act itself has been given a ludicrous approach. The key to a better understanding of sex and the enjoyment of it, of the act, is not by approaching it literally or aggressively. For example, to continue in the vein of fashion, showing more skin, wearing more revealing clothing, tighter clothes, let's say wearing fetishistic clothing, does not necessarily make you more desirable, and it certainly does not sustain desire. Like with everything worth doing, there is an art to sexuality and eroticism that requires diligence. I have found women more sexually striking in a dress that covers every inch of her velvety skin than a woman who is practically bursting at the seams of like a skimpy, stringy bikini. Sexuality, despite what some people may think, is not about being overt. It's about when to be overt and when not to be. It's about push and pull. Obviously, there are parts of sexuality that are overt, that are bold and intense. Sure, but there's a time and place for it. When I say being modest, I don't mean modest in the sense like be a prude. I don't mean like you shouldn't have sex or dress provocatively or even be provocative in nature. I mean like in a visual sense. I mean like proportion-wise, ratio-wise, like using provocativeness and boldness in proportion as a kind of emphasis. I think people should be secretive in nature, especially when it comes to sex. Physics, a Cosmo, or the Instagram warning label on a post can tell you very simply and plainly that the less you show, the more people want to know what you've hidden. Basquiat is a very good example of this, where he was able to draw attention to certain words in his paintings by obscuring them. The greatest law of attraction, and no, not the positive attracts positive thing, is the more you hide, the more people are attracted to you. As human beings, the unknown is our drive. It always has been. Without the unknown, we would have no desire, period. We would not pursue our destinies, our curiosity would be stifled, our, no pun intended, lust for life would be extinguished. We would not try new things, we would stagnate, we would not grow. The heart monitor would register a long, flat line. As the wise Billy Joel once said, only fools are satisfied. I feel like our culture has missed the point of sex and eroticism completely. I'm not going to talk necessarily about the act of intercourse itself, which has its own problems. I like to focus on sensuality in daily life, how we present our desire, whether it's looking in the mirror and being with yourself and self-seduction, or whether or not we're gearing our desire towards a person. When I mention modesty to today's women and girls, it's almost unexpected for them, and it feels like it comes totally out of left field. I'm always met with this suspicious glance, like, They look at me like I'm some kind of grandmother, like I fuck with the lights off after I've taken a shower. Our society's sexual pursuits are literally emblazoned with phrases like, be a slut, do whatever you want. That is a terrible way to live your life, by that phrase. I mean, Aphrodite would not approve, y'all. Sometimes there is more sex in a glance from a handsome stranger than there is in the actual act of intercourse. We need that kind of space between us to maintain eroticism. We need the unknown, we need rarity. There are even some lovers who believe that they shouldn't live in the same house together so that they can maintain the unknown. Like, the unknown is a literal fixture in their lives. Secrecy is the key to intimacy. Modesty, I think, is the key to intimacy. Modesty being a kind of restriction. The erotic in daily life is kind of just about using opposing forces interchangeably, seamlessly. It's about hiding, revealing, giving, withholding. The most sexual things in life are just like a sliver of something. Things that are just so small that most people, don't even notice. You know, an inch of a collarbone peeking out from a collar, accidentally touching somebody's hand when you go to give them something, seeing somebody all the time, but you don't know their name, you don't know who they are, wearing silk lingerie underneath a wool dress. I guess the erotic is really just about hints of things, never giving away everything at once. And you're always kind of left a little startled and unsure. Sexuality is not about being loud. It's a quiet existence, weirdly. It's all really subtle, like refracted light from around the corner. You don't know where the light source is coming from. It's almost intoxicating in its subtlety, really, once you see it. You discover that there's this entire world that lives in restriction, in modesty. Because really, that's what modesty is about. It's about restriction. I think a really great example of this would be the difference between bargain and luxury. The closer you are to luxury on that threshold, things actually get smaller and more potent, and they have more value. Think of the difference between, let's say, an all-you-can-eat buffet and a 3 Michelin star restaurant. At the all-you-can-eat buffet, you pile your plate high with all of these insane combinations of food, and you can barely finish half of it. Tasted good, but it was a little obscene, wasn't it? And then you walk into, let's say, Central in Peru, and you have these dishes that are like the tip of a pin or the size of a quarter, and it requires a higher sensitivity, a kind of threshold of taste that you kind of need to acquire over time to even understand the flavor of the dish. The difference between the buffet and the 3 Michelin star restaurant is enormous. The pin-sized or quarter-sized meal holds just as much, if not more, pleasure than the all-you-can-eat buffet. If you want a more literal example, I can say that, let's say when you first start dating somebody or you are seducing somebody, the moments where you are just within the vicinity of that person have so much pleasure. And then let's say you go out and you have sex, get drunk at a club or something, and you have sex with somebody that was, let's say, even good looking, but it was almost like nothing. I'm sure we've all had those times. The difference between those two things is enormous. One thing, you're giving all of yourself, and then the other, you're not giving anything at all, and the pleasure is the same, if not less or more. This can apply to clothes, for example, too. Instead of like that practically lingerie outfit that you have, which no shade to lingerie outfits, because I'm a huge proponent for lingerie as outerwear. The difference between that the sexual gratification of looking at a girl that has that kind of outfit on, as opposed to a girl that's wearing a dress that covers every inch of her skin, and the fabric is just sheer enough to the point where you can see the skin, like the color of your flesh, peek through the fabric just enough. That little hint, your bare body kind of showing through this fabric. The difference between those things is enormous. One, you're pretty much hiding all of yourself, and the other one, you're showing a lot, but the attraction and the desire is the same, if not less or more. We place so much value just subconsciously on subtlety, on that kind of sliver of indulgence. And that value is definitely derived from some kind of like unspoken proportion or ratio. You can call it emphasis, because emphasis often uses contrast and proportion to put value on a particular thing or person or object in a work of art. Again, it just kind of comes back to giving just a little bit so that the desire becomes stronger, the desire to know more, the desire to uncover the unknown. And it's always just a hint. Modesty, restriction, you give just a little bit, just a hint. It's a trace of perfume lingering in the air. It's the obscurity of a glance from across the room, a shoulder just peeking out of a shirt, a few hairs falling in your face. It's just that much. We don't need more than that. We are just so overfed on these like overtly sexual images all the time that we don't know subtlety anymore. And my goal is through my videos to bring that back, to resuscitate the sex drive of our culture, because we have been fed those images. Everything is so overtly sexual, everything from music to fashion. And we need to draw it back. We need metaphors again. We need innuendos. We need modesty. We need subtlety. So please, ladies and gentlemen, men, you are not exempt from this. Choose subtlety, choose modesty, choose secrecy for a better intimate life. And you'll soon find that this rule applies to all aspects of life, not just sex. You will certainly enjoy life more. It's hard to adjust to, but things will start to have, smaller things, less, will start to have more value for you. Life will feel longer. Things will be more drawn out. Instant gratification is not the way to live. It just isn't. Discipline is surely the route to enjoy your life through. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I am losing light. I had to record my audio twice for this, but please let me know if you liked this video. Let me know what your take is on it. Please leave a comment, leave a like, please subscribe, turn on the bell for notifications, tell your friends about this channel, and I will see you guys next week.